Okay, welcome back to my Blender to Planet Coaster series, where I explain a little bit about how to use Blender. Also, um, bef I didn't mention this in the last series, but there is a certain workflow to how to do certain things. You might notice it in a couple of other videos. Like I've said before, other tutorials can be quite confusing. So I hope my tutorial series explains it a little bit better. Feel free to always skip back or what you want. I will also put a list down of my hotkeys that I personally use. You can always look on Google for any other uh, hotkeys that you need, center camera or any other things. I actually forgot that in the last series you got also a knife, so I'll quickly show that in a minute. Um, and then we're actually going to talk a little bit about the menu, not too much, and we're also going to talk about the local and the global, because I do honestly think it is handy to know stuff like that. So yeah, let's get started with the knife to start off with. As you can see, we still got the model from the previous series episode, sorry. Um, yeah, I left it more or less how it was already. We're going to delete this in a minute. Before that, we're going to do knife. I don't actually know. Oh, K is the hotkey for it. Sometimes Blender does show you um, what the shortcut is or hotkey, but there is so much in Blender that you use or that you don't use, so it can be kind of confusing. I usually look up what I need and then I use it. So, but everybody does it different. Yeah, I'll show the knife um, option. Knife option is actually also really handy. I can place it here and I can make a line, say, to there. And I'm not exactly sure. Oh, press enter. Don't forget to press enter. I'll do it up to the corner. Press enter. And as you can see, it literally just cut a line in between. In the last series, I talked also about triangles and faces. You should try and see the cube sliced through two parts or our triangle. So let's just cut it over here, press enter. And this is really how Blender builds up the model. So I try to remember when I'm modeling that I'm literally when I make a cube that I'm actually making two sides because I'll need it eventually with the triads and faces. It'll just look at it as a square and it's one cube to say better. And triads is more that it's split through two, at least in my experience. But yeah, that's the way you can use the knife tool to actually get in between the little corners. So I can still choose whether I want to do that and that and that. And so there we go. Um, do remember that some model, when you start knifing it up into all weird shapes, it can glitch out. So, for example, if I were to go to edge mode and I select these lines. I'm not exactly sure if it'll do it now, but sometimes here you can see it, it'll start really glitching out as crazy. That's because you're most likely cutting it up in little pieces. Um, in my experience, try to keep that concept of triangles and squares. So don't go and just cut it up all weird shapes because eventually you'll get like these open black sides and you don't want that in your model, especially not in Planet Coaster. So yeah, that is more or less what I wanted to talk about, also about not glitching your model out too much. So we'll just go back, we'll take this all out. Let's go back, there we go, once more. Yeah, but yeah, if you want to, you can press K for the knife, or you can come up to the tools and you can well press K, or you can press extrude. So there are always tools that you can use. Yeah, another thing that I wanted to talk about is the local and the global. That can be kind of handy, especially when you're like example. Let's go back into object mode. I'll just create a new object. So say cube. I'll just place it on top of my other model. Well, actually, I can delete that model. So let's delete it out. Say I rotate it then to some weird shape. And as you can see, it just sticks to the grid. So it's not exactly what I want. Say if I wanted to move the cube up that way, it just will go up that way. So it can be annoying when you want certain things. Planet Coaster actually uses this also. You can look at Planet Coaster in the way that it works like Blender, but it's not Blender. So let's change this over to local, and you'll see that it suddenly has changed position. I can locally now do whatever I want. So that means even if I now rotate it a different way, so like that, you can see that it'll still stay on the local axes of the cube. So yeah, that's for me personally, it's a really handy tool. So let's put this back to its original place. We're going to need our cube to be able to start with our model. Yeah, quick talk about this. We're going to use the tabs up here quite a lot, because we're going to have to, if we want to animate our models, we're going to have to assign vertices. So if you haven't forgotten what a vertex is, we're going to have to assign. So go over to vertices. We're going to have to assign these to a group. There are different ways of doing this. I'm not exactly sure, but I think if you press P, you can parent them to a certain way. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, Blender works in so many ways. It has so many buttons and hotkeys and stuff like that. It's really getting used to how it works. But yeah, we're going to eventually have to parent a certain, say, a cube or two cubes to one group and such forth. But we'll get into that later on. So let's go. Don't forget to put this back to global. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about our branches. I do think these are handy. Not everybody uses them, but I think they're quite handy to use. So if we go down, it actually still remembers the armature. Well, that's not right, because I think I've left something in there, but I can always delete this out. So let's do that. Yeah, we got our cube, our standard cube. Nothing really special about it. We can rename by double clicking on it. So we'll just rename it to cube. Under this, I think this is it's an object data. We're going to use this when we want to make groups. This is really what I was talking about, vertex groups. But we're going to do this later on, because the first thing we have to do is just simply have a cube and eventually go into a different edit mode. But I'll explain this all later on. And then we're going to UV unwrap it. And UV unwrap can be done also in different ways. I'm going to try and show you the difficult way, I guess you can say, because you can be lazy and you can literally go like, oh, you know what, I'll just use you and I'll unwrap it. So quick example is if I were to, also handy is A is select all. I forgot to mention that. I also, if I select, say, one part of the cube, I can press L and it'll should select everything locally. So it's a handy thing if you say got another cube and you only want to select that cube, then don't press A, go for the L. It'll locally select what you want to select. So say I go back into edit just to make it clear. We'll place down one other cube. Don't forget the cube will jump to the cursor center or selected cursor. As you can see, it jumps there. And now we'll go back into edit mode. Oh, yeah, before I forget, these haven't been joined up together. As you can see here in the branch, everything you create is its own, especially when it comes down to making or using cubes and such for cylinders. It'll all start off with being separate, but you can join them up and you can loosen them up from each other. So I actually do that with certain models of mine, and you will have to do it with your main model. So say if you've got 3 cubes, you want to have all 3 in one group. So we can do this really easy by going to object mode and selecting, sorry, it's not working again, of course. Oh, there we go. Selecting our cubes. We can join them on the side here, or we can press CTRL J. There we go. Now they're joined together as one group. So it won't look different. They'll just be joined together. We can also loosen them from each other by going into edit mode and pressing, I think it was P and then by loose parts. Now they'll be separated again from each other, as you can see here on the top. And Blender automatically does a number behind it. But it's more if you want to know, say I got a lamp there and I got a character here and I got a car there, then you'll most likely want to call it all the name what it is. So you want to make this lamp and you want to make that character and car and such forth. But we'll eventually also try, we especially are just going to work with one cube. I can also show with animations how you can animate 2 separate cubes from each other. But I hopefully can start stepping into the how do you start off with UV in the next tutorial part. So if you actually do know something about Blender, just skip along till it's going to be the 4th video, and we'll get actually really diving into starting to build a model, get it UV unwrapped, using scenes, making groups, vertex groups, and going on the path where we can eventually have a model go into Planet Coaster. Well, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope I've explained a little bit again, like in my last series, how to use certain tools and where to find them. And I'll see you back in the next video. Thank you for watching.